afternoon, this is Carol Kennedy. I'm an account manager with ApplicantStack. We'd like to thank everyone for joining our Ask Me Anything session for today. We do have quite a few folks still dialing in, so we'll go ahead and give everyone just a couple of minutes and then we will be back. We are just a couple of minutes past the hour, so we'd like to thank everyone again for joining today. I have on the line with me my colleagues Ellen Benzine and Brandon Peterson. They will be assisting today with questions that come in. Our topic for today would be the benefits of adding ApplicantStack users, and everyone should be able to see my screen. I did want to mention a couple of things. Our next webinar is coming up on July 18th. That will be a start to finish overview of our onboard system. So perhaps you have new users or just need a refresher. We welcome you to join that webinar. You should see a registration link in the upper left-hand corner of your ApplicantStack screen, and you'll be able to register there. Once we have gone through our presentation today, we'll be sure to open up the floor to questions. That can be anything related to ApplicantStack. It doesn't have to be related to the presentation. And we just ask that you submit those questions in the questions panel, and we will do our best to answer those for you. So with that, I'll go ahead and advance our slides. Just a brief overview of the types of users available in ApplicantStack. We have 3 types of users, and you can have more than one of each type of user. So we oftentimes get the question, can you have more than one administrator? Yes, you absolutely can. I've got a quick little chart here showing the different types of access that each type of user has. We have an administrator level. Those individuals can pretty much see and do everything in the system. They can create and post jobs, work with candidates, schedule interviews. They have access to your templates and your reports. They have access to your setup. So for example, your billing information. Recruiter would be the next level down. They have everything that your admin has access to except for the setup. And then our hiring managers are in the system to review job and candidate information. They can only see the jobs and candidates specific to them or assigned to them. They might provide feedback, for example, on a candidate that they have spoken with or just reviewed. Why would you want to use users to your ApplicantStack account? There's several reasons, such as compliance. It will save you time and make you more efficient, and you can coordinate and communicate with your team as you move candidates through the hiring process. We'll touch on each one of these individually. For example, by adding users, you can trigger reminders for candidate feedback. For example, you can remind your hiring manager users with an automatically triggered email to complete tasks or candidate feedback in the system. So for example, we have an interview evaluation questionnaire option that you could assign to your team, give them a reminder to complete that information to make sure that you are compliant with that information. We have template interview evaluation forms available for you to use, or you can customize your own. And that's going to allow you to make sure that your hiring team has a structured interviewing script to follow, that they're asking HR approved questions during an interview, if that's a concern. And feedback is recorded in the candidate history for, again, auditing purposes. So the feedback will be recorded with the candidate's profile, should you ever need to access it in the future. If you have a question, why did you hire this candidate over that candidate? That feedback will also be tracked under the name of the individual that submitted that feedback. So if you have a question, you need to go back to somebody, ask them about that feedback, that's going to allow you to do that. As far as making your team more efficient, by having hiring manager users in the account, your hiring managers can review candidates, which will save your HR team or your recruiter some time. So I know back when I was recruiting, I had anywhere from maybe 20 to 50 jobs that I was recruiting for. So having hiring managers have the ability to be in there reviewing candidates was a huge benefit. I could just say, hey, please give them a quick review. Let me know your thoughts. I can reach out to the ones that you think are most promising. As we mentioned, hiring managers can only see those candidates assigned to the jobs that they have been assigned to and in stages that have been assigned to them, such as manager review. That's going to help them streamline their review process. We have tools such as scoring and average feedback, which will allow them to focus on those candidates that are a best fit and really streamline their review process. All of your candidates are saved in one place and are searchable. So I can't tell you how many times when I was recruiting, I was using email folders. I had resumes saved to those folders. I would have a question, what happened to this candidate? So I'd have to search through those emails, find those candidates, find those resumes, download them, print them out. In ApplicantStack, everybody is in one place. They're searchable, so your users can go in and easily find them. As far as tech support and account management assistance, by having a user in your account, that will make that a little bit quicker for you. So your information is confidential. If we are contacted by an individual who's not a user on the account, we want to protect your information. We can't provide information, reports, confidential information to that individual. So by having that user be in your account as an active user, that is going to speed that up for you. As far as coordinating and communicating with your team, we have tools throughout the system for you to communicate more effectively with your candidates and with your internal users. For example, we have tasks and events. So you can delegate responsibilities. Maybe you send a task to phone screen a candidate, do a background check, whatever is part of your process. You can assign those to your team members so they understand that they're responsible for it. You can have reminders sent through the system to the user's dashboard so they can see if they have an upcoming interview, or you can have automated reminders. So when you trigger an interview comment sheet, perhaps there's an email reminder that goes out every so often until that's been completed. Or you can assign tasks and onboard so they know that they have a step to make sure that your hire is onboarded correctly, quickly. All of your history and communication is kept in one place with the candidate record. It's all tracked electronically. You'll have an audit trail. You can see who changed what and when that happened, when your candidate was contacted, and so forth. So your team can collaborate. Let's say somebody's out of the office. Your team can go in and see that feedback that was submitted by another team member. And that's going to help them keep that process moving even though so-and-so is out of the office. As far as how to add users to your account, your administrator user can go to Manage Billing and Change Plan, or you can contact your account manager and they will be happy to help you adjust that and add those users appropriately. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and open up the floor to questions. And I believe Ellen is helping with those today. If anybody wants to see any of those items I just talked about, how to set up an interview feedback form in the library, how to assign that task as a reminder email for that feedback form as an example, please let us know and we're happy to show that to you.
All right, Carol, we have a couple questions that have come in already.
Okay.
One of which is, what is the pricing for hiring manager licenses?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Your account manager is always happy to help you with that. If you'd like to submit a support ticket, let me go ahead and hop into my system. A couple of things here is that onboard webinar that we mentioned. Feel free to register here. And then to submit that question, you can simply come down to ask a question from the question mark in the upper right, and you'll be prompted to submit a ticket. And the reason that we ask you to submit a support ticket, that allows us to track issues as they come in. That will help us identify, is that a bug? Is that a feature request? That's going to help us improve our product. If we see questions coming in consistently, we can go ahead and provide resources out, such as these webinars, to really help with those questions. And it could be that your account manager that may be on the other line, or they're just tied up at the moment. So that allows us to get you the quickest response possible. Somebody else can hop in if needed.
All right. Next question, Carol, is, and I think you've addressed this, but if you don't mind to review it one more time since we do have a question on it, is there a limit of number of users that I can have in ApplicantStack? And then the second part to that question is, can I have more than one administrator?
Correct. You can have more than one administrator user. Just keep in mind that they will be able to see, for example, billing information. So just be cognizant of that, that they'll see information that's appropriate for them, for their role. And you can have as many users as you need. Again, your account manager can help you with any questions on pricing and things of that nature.
All right. Next question, Carol, is what steps can be taken to correct or redo a document, such as a W-4 or I-9, if there's a mistake after it is saved? So we're obviously talking about onboarding here.
Let's go hop over to onboard. So a couple of things here. Your onboard form can be edited to a certain point. So let me go into John Nicholas. I just need to find him. Okay, let's go ahead and go to View Portal. And we can see these items have been completed, but to a point, this edit form option will be available. If let's say it's a two-part form and the hire completes their section, they can go back and edit that. But if the employer has completed part 2 of that form, then it will become locked down and they won't be able to edit it. So in that case, I believe you need to reassign that form to them to complete that.
Right, and I would agree with that, absolutely. So I hope that answered your question, Peter. Next question is from Kimberly. How do you get your reports to match? I sent that question in prior to the webinar. Kimberly, I think I actually saw that you did submit a ticket. And what we'll need to do is forward that to our technical support team. Actually, that's who would be reviewing it now. And if they need to ask you more information about what reports and what data you want, they will do so. So you'll have a direct conversation with them. Carol, I jumped in and answered that one. Did you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Yep, I would agree with that.
All right, Kimberly said, okay, thank you. Next question, Carol, is can you show me how to assign a task to another user in the system as a task?
Sure. And we're
Assign
going to backtrack and cover that. So thank you for asking that question. So we have, let's go back to our recruit system. And let's come over to our candidates. So a couple of things to mention here. We have tasks and we have events. A task is a general reminder, maybe phone screen a candidate, something of that nature, conduct a background check, and an event is more date and time bound. So that might be something along the lines of an interview. So let's click on create task. We do have an option for you to create a template in your library. It will put some notes in there. Please call this candidate and conduct a phone screen with them. Here is where you will assign the user that will be responsible for that. And as you can see, they have to be a user in the system for them to be able to appear in this dropdown, for you to be able to assign that to them. Here is that email reminder. So I just want to send a quick reminder every 4 days until that user goes in and completes that. In this case, we're using a phone screen form. Let's talk about, we talked about interview feedback forms. Perhaps after an interview, you want to assign that to your interview team for them to complete. Give them a reminder every so often. Let's hop into our library and let's take a look at our interview comment sheets. These would be questionnaires. You should have 2 available in your account. Interview evaluation form, you can edit those. If there's one that's close to what you need, but you want to make some changes, you can clone that and make your changes to the copy so you still have the original to go back to. But let's take just a quick peek at that. Again, this is just a suggestion or a template that you might use. Is this an individual or a team submission? Rank the candidate based on different areas. Make a recommendation, possible candidate but continue our search, or make offer, second interview. You can also put some quick notes in there. Okay, so you can either use our templates and build off of those, or you can start from scratch. You can create a new questionnaire and add your questions one by one and build out your interview template that way. And again, that's going to allow you to restrict what questions your users are asking in case that's a concern.
Yeah, and you know, Carol, interviewing is an acquired skill. And generally, you don't want to ask a question that's on an individual's resume that you can read. You want to ask them open-ended questions. What was their action? What was the result? What task was assigned to that individual? So if you have interview guides, like you were just showing in the system, not only does that give, say, a hiring manager the ability to ask questions and help them acquire those interviewing skills, it also, as you had mentioned earlier, allows or keeps compliance. So you don't want to necessarily ask different questions of different candidates for the same job. So thanks for going into that interview evaluation form that's provided by ApplicantStack, and show how you can create additional interview evaluation questionnaires as well.
Sure thing. Thanks, Alan. And one last follow-up piece on that. On your homepage, here is that reminder. So your user will see that they have an upcoming task or event that will remain there until it's completed. When they get an event, that will come to their email. It will have an add to calendar functionality there, so they can add it to, for example, their Outlook or their Gmail.
Excellent. All right. Next question is there, oh, we got a thank you on that one. Is there a way to review old tickets that we have submitted?
Gosh, I'm not sure. I believe the system will kick back an email
Right.
once the ticket has been received. So I might go ahead and search your email inbox for maybe by sender. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what that would come back as, since it's not something I'm actively monitoring or submitting tickets sometimes, but I would go ahead and search by however that's coming from our system as a bounce back. There's a number that's affiliated, you'll get a case number, and that might be a good way to find that information.
Yeah, Carol, I just went into my Outlook, and emails from tech support via our ticketing software, it looks like they come from supportcenter@swipeclock.com. So
Okay.
I would search, yep, I would search your Outlook or whatever your email software is for supportcenter@swipeclock.com.
Fantastic. Thanks for looking that up.
Uh-huh. Okay, we got another thank you on that too.
Wonderful.
Next question, Carol, is there a way to edit someone else's onboarding questionnaire?
We had this question, I believe, come up recently. And I believe system design is the user that submits the questionnaire can edit it, but other users cannot. And that's the way the system has been structured.
Mm-hmm. So that there isn't any modification made by anybody other than the original user.
Correct.
That would make sense. Okay. All right. Looks like that is all the questions so far.
Okay. Well, we'll give everyone just about maybe another 30 seconds to a minute to submit questions. So I'll go ahead and just cover a couple of things. I'll backtrack. I did want to mention some of our users are not aware of the candidate search functionality. So we had mentioned that if you're looking for a resume, you remember them from the past, something of that sort, on our candidate tab, we have a search functionality. So you can come in and search, maybe you remember the candidate's name, but not what job they're in. If you need a certain skill set within so many miles of a zip code, you can search, more than likely you'd want to use your keyword functionality that will search resumes and cover letters for those keywords. Maybe you remember what disposition they were in. So maybe they declined an offer, something has changed, you could find them that way. Lots of different ways to customize your search here, but you can search your database and find those candidates in the system. They should remain in there unless you delete them, which we don't recommend doing, but in some cases you need to. It's really up to you and your process, but did want to mention that. And I did want to bring you into a candidate's history. So I'm in George Blake's record. If I come over to history, we have a filter available. Maybe you just want to see system changes. You can see application was added on this date and time. Maybe we want to see emails that have been sent back and forth about that candidate or notes. It's just a demo account, so there's not too much going on here. But we can see any events affiliated with that hire and so forth. So that is going to show you anything that's happened with that candidate, again, by user, and then you'll be able to use that for your record keeping and communicating with your team.
Okay, stay there, Carol, if you don't mind, please.
Sure.
Yep, because there's a question here from Anya, and it is, can you block a candidate without them knowing? So I think the answer to that is going to be global notes and or disposition options.
Correct. So the system does not have the capability to block a user. They cannot, or excuse me, a candidate. The email address will not allow them, if it's the same email address, they can't apply to the same position more than once, but they can apply to multiple positions. So if that's a concern, you might want to disposition them. No, don't consider for any position. We can enter a note and make that global. So that will show across all applications for that candidate. That might be the best way to handle that. If there is a duplicate, there would be a red alert up near their name saying what other positions they've applied to.
So those ways that Carol just mentioned, Anya, the candidate would not know that they have been blocked. So you don't have to worry about that. And if you do choose to use the global note process, then you would just need to train your users to access that the global notes prior to looking at candidates. All right, next question, Carol, is can you edit a document in the system? And I think the question is specific to offer letters. So it sounds like it's the documents functionality.
And I'm wondering if this is editing it after it's been completed. Is that your interpretation?
Can you edit? I'm just reading it again. Oh, that's a yes. So edit it after it's been completed.
I don't believe so. I believe it comes in as a PDF, and I believe it's locked down to further edits at that point. So if you needed to send a revised version, you may need to send a new one.
Mm-hmm. And actually, Carol, I think that's probably good for an audit trail to show that a document was sent, and all of that's, again, as you've mentioned time and time again, automatically tracked by the software to create an audit trail. So you might want to keep that first document intact and then resend a revised offer letter.
Right, so we can see here when that was created, we have the option to email that or delete it, but I don't see an edit option, so correct.
So the first offer letter could be deleted, or again, you could see the trail of what's happening there. And if that's the case, you can always add a note in the candidate record to track what you're doing. I don't see any more questions up to this point. I'm talking slowly just in case some questions come through. But we have answered all that were submitted, Carol, up to this point in time.
Okay, wonderful.
I think you can close it down.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for attending. I believe the link to that webinar upcoming on July 18th is also in the chat section of the GoToMeeting or GoToWebinars. That should be available there as well. So we look forward to everyone attending, and thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Carol.
Everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.